Hello and welcome to the Merle and Locke podcast. I'm Merle.
And I'm Locke.
Set sail and low expectations for everything nerd, accompanied by a healthy, albeit shameful, helping to pointless banter, lack of focus, and questionably acquired knowledge.
And more.
And more. Okay, so Locke, you brought this topic up to me last week. We wanted to talk about it, so we're going to talk about it today. I figure we'll go back and forth since we both had time to prep for this one. So you wanted to talk about the saddest moments in video games.
Yes.
So what you're actually bringing in as a topic here is like not necessarily like your saddest experiences necessarily, but like as far as like RPGs go, like role playing games, like in stories, right? Like the saddest moments in these video game stories. Okay, I'm gonna start with Assassin's Creed Black Flag.
That's a good one.
It is a good one. Like that. So I haven't played all of the Assassin's Creeds, but
That's all right. Neither have I.
yeah, out of the ones that I have played, Black Flag is just absolute standout one. It's my favorite. I loved it.
My favorite too.
Yeah, I absolutely adored it. But at the end, oh man, I don't want to give like too many spoilers too. Well, I mean,
But just
I don't know.
stamp a little alert and say it's spoiler alert here, because some of the games we're going to be talking about,
Yeah,
some of
yeah.
these saddest moments might not happen until the end game.
Right. Yeah, all the ones that I'm going to talk about are at the end of the game. So, yeah, so maybe just skip this episode if you don't want any video game spoilers.
And if you don't mind spoilers, then stick around, listen. But we only have one game that I want to talk about that's not really a spoiler, really. So
Right. Yeah, and the games I'm talking about are a little older, It's nothing that's come out in the past. Oh man, I feel like they're pretty old by now. Oh gosh, I don't know how old. But anyway,
if you haven't heard anything about these games by now, then you've been living under a rock so well that you have not heard about any of it.
okay, so for Black Flag, right? So Black Flag is for those who haven't played that Assassin's Creed, it's the pirate themed one.
Yeah.
Where you're a pirate and you get your own ship and you're trying to build up Nassau and create this pirate paradise. And obviously, if you know anything about history, is that things didn't go so well for the pirates eventually, So I guess there's no spoilers there. It's in the history books.
Right.
It's just like this romanticized pirate experience, and it's incredible to be a part of. And you see all these like really iconic characters and people in history.
Between history and fictional, it's all great.
But by the end of the game, like you've done all of this, you've gone through so much, and they bring like one of the saddest songs in existence, "Parting Glass." Yeah, are you familiar with that one? If you don't if you don't know "Parting Glass," like YouTube it or something. It's a beautiful song. Like that starts playing, or like when a character starts singing it, and you start seeing like all your like crew and whatnot sitting around and celebrating like everything you've accomplished, and then the character sees like people that aren't even alive, like people that are dead, like they're ghosts, sitting there and having a drink. Even people who like betrayed you in some way, by the end of it, you still considered them a friend. And like, it just really pulls at your heartstrings. You're like all of this went through so much and suffered so much all for naught. It felt like, by the end of it, it like wasn't satisfying, because it was it was just a sad ending. Like everything, it didn't matter.
I do vaguely recall all of that. I do remember being pretty upset by it. Made me love the game that much more.
like games or like stories that do that to you, like they haunt you, right? They're so difficult to forget when they pull something like that, where it's just like, yeah, that's reality, bud.
That's the art of good storytelling, though, when they can kind of immerse you into that, and you can kind of feel the emotions tied between these characters.
Right. And like everything is just so epic when you're trying to achieve something. Like it's so epic and it keeps you going and motivated. But then like and once you accomplish it, you're like, oh man, like you accomplished what you wanted, but then like it doesn't really matter, and it really makes you feel that. So that's a game that I loved, and that was a really sad for me to like, not that it brought me to tears or anything, but it was like it really was like the feels. I was like, oh god.
Uh,
So that's why I drilled that one into the ground. Let's hear one of yours. What do you got?
I'm gonna start with the one that kind of started this idea, and this is gonna be relatively short in comparison, I think. But yeah, so what kind of started it was I started playing that Gotham Knights game. Since it's been free on the Xbox, I figured I'd give it a try. Not that I wasn't too keen on the idea of not being able to play Batman, but I was like, I'm gonna give it a chance. I'm gonna go back and play it, and if I play as anybody, it's either gonna be Dick Grayson or Jason Todd. So I started playing through it, and the very beginning of the game is what got me. So at the beginning, there's this whole little like fight scene that's being. I mean, this might be a little bit of spoilers. I can't remember what the trailers were like, but Batman's facing up against Ra's al Ghul, and his only attempts to not get Ra's al Ghul to survive and come back to life through the Lazarus pit, he decides to destroy his whole entire Batcave by killing both of them together. At the end, it cuts to a video of him talking, and I heard the voice, and it's what hit me hardest, because it was Kevin Conroy saying, if you're hearing this, I am dead. And I was blowing bubbles out my nose. I mean, I was crying like a little bitch baby. Jane Doe looking over at me, and she's like, are you crying? I'm like, I don't want to talk about it.
Don't look at me.
Don't look at me. This is ugly right now. I mean,
No, it's raining.
I was just like, this feels like a personal message, because for those of you who don't know, is knowing that Kevin Conroy being the man who has voiced Batman through a lot of the animated series. So that's childhood.
Yep.
And then hearing his voice for the last time stating that he is no longer with us and that we're to continue on without him. Oh, I just couldn't. I couldn't handle. I couldn't
That's
stop
rough,
thinking
yeah.
about it, and I was just. uh, so yeah, here's my confession to how hard that affected me.
Yeah, that one hits hard, but
So I mean that's not even just as I was saying about storytelling being able to affect us,
right,
but
right.
just the emotion of knowing the people behind the voices really takes a toll.
Yeah, no, I get that. I get that
I was
completely.
like, that's like family. I mean, it's not that I know Kevin personally, but or knew Kevin personally, but
He's a drinking buddy.
yeah, good old friend of mine, Kevin.
What a card, that guy.
real wild card.
So the second one I have, following up that one, is a game that probably not many people have heard of. It's called Soma. Soma. It's a game made by the same people who made Amnesia.
Yeah,
I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with that one, especially if you're like familiar with like the whole YouTube world and you know
absolutely.
let's play people. Uh, Amnesia was a big one, but yeah, the same people made Soma, which is one that I played through, and I'm gonna have to give spoilers on this one, so
No
you can
choice.
understand. Yeah. So what it is like you start out and it's just like modern day, and you go for like this doctor's appointment or something. If I can, like I'm trying to remember some of it, but you go to like this doctor's appointment, and for some reason, like they take some of your DNA, right? And they use it for, I don't know, study or something like that. And then right after you get that done, you end up like in this, underwater laboratory, like this whole network of underwater like habitats and stuff, right? And you're like, what the hell? And like you find out that, the you that went to the doctor's appointment, like after you got your DNA taken, like you just went on with your life. But you now is going through like trying to figure out where the hell am I? Like what the hell happened? In this abandoned underwater habitat where like everybody's dead and stuff, and you're trying to explore and figure out what's going on. And you have this little AI, voice in your head, this lady AI. It was a lady's voice, so it was very comforting and stuff in that dark and scary place. And it's just full with horrors and monsters and stuff, and you figure out that you're like a robot, right? You're not an actual person. They just used the DNA from the modern day, and implanted it into this like robot, and so it has like all your memories up to that point where you got your DNA taken, and now you're here. And so you have like you're a robot, but you think you're human,
Right.
and it's really confusing. And you get to this point, like you go through all this stuff, and you have this AI in your head who's trying to look after you and stuff, and she says she has a solution, she has a way for you to get out, and get to a safe place. And at the end you finally get to like this place where you're able to escape, this underwater horror house.
Horror house.
No, horror.
Ah.
Horror house.
Ah.
Sorry.
Damn.
Sorry, I did.
Got me excited.
But no, there's not like mermaids or anything under there. But anyway, so you sit down in this chair, and it's like this rocket thing or submarine thing that like will launch from the habitat, and you like sit down in this chair like outside of the submarine, and like something sticks into your robot brain or whatever, and it downloads the material from there and copies it into the escaped vessel, right? And then the escaped vessel launches, and your character is like, what the hell? We're not on it. Like, what is this? And the AI tells you like, no, we are on it. We transferred our memory, everything that we downloaded it to the escape vessel, and now we're escaping. And you're like, no, but that's not us. We're here still stuck. And she's like, no, but we like, yes, but we are up there as well, and we'll live on, and it's like this, like this copy paste, but the old memory is still there, and you're like, holy shit. Now, like, I realized that, us on the escape vessel are happy and relieved and stuff, but we are still here. and it was such like a haunting thing where like you get into the fight with this AI, and then she like gets upset that you're fighting with her, and then she's just like, okay, I'm just going to go away, and then she like shuts down and she doesn't talk to you anymore. And you're sitting there alone in this abandoned place by yourself, this dark abandoned place, everybody's dead. And you're all alone because she shut herself down
Right.
because you were going off on her. Dude, it was so. That was the end. That was the end of the game. Like, it was so haunting. I was like, oh my god, that is awful. Like, how could this? How could this be a thing? It was the most horrifying, but it was so beautifully done, dude. Like, it was such a haunting game, and it just made you like, oh, it really just made you question like reality as a whole.
Right.
It was just so, I don't know, it's just psychological
Yeah,
roller coaster.
it's like this simulation type of idea, right? If you ended up finding out you were in a simulation, then what?
Yeah, it was just
Ba
absolutely
ba
haunting.
ba.
Yeah. Anyway, do you have another one that you'd like to go into?
The other one would have been Red Dead Redemption 2. This was kind of a two-hitter. Just all around, hits you full of emotions by endgame. So, close your ears if you don't want spoilers. As you finally are going to go back to the camp and kind of face up against Dutch and Micah, after the fight commences, you're kind of fighting with them, and then I think it's the Pinkertons that come back to find you. So now you're trying to get away, and then you're trying to save. You have the choice to either save. No, you're gonna save them regardless, but it's either you're gonna go back and get the money, or you're going to help make sure that, is it John?
John Marston?
Yeah, John Marston. So you're trying to make sure that he lives, and that's your good guy route, is make sure that you leave with him. And on my way of leaving with him, I had this beautiful white horse that I had collected from the northern parts of the Appalachia. I had it with me from almost the very beginning of the game. So as you're trying to run, there's no choice. There's no saving this horse.
Oh no.
So the horse goes down, and the things that your character, Arthur Morgan, says to the horse, like, there, girl. It's gonna be alright. And then she closes her eyes forever. Hit me. I was like, my horse! I was like, there's so much emotion tied to that horse. I found that horse personally. Like, it's not like I bought this horse. No, this is one that I tamed myself, so it put more of an attachment on it. And then come find out, like, once you do play as John Marston, you don't get that horse back. It's like, oh, no. So I was torn apart by that, and then as you continue, and John Marston runs off to safety, and you're facing up against that bastard Micah. And then you end up dying there, right? So since I chose the good route the first go around, you know, seeing him lay on the rocks, the music that they played was beautiful, added on to that emotion that you feel in game. So he's staring off into the sun rising in the distance on the cliffside as Arthur Morgan ceases to exist. And that's all tied together, full of emotion, broke me down. I was like, I want to play as Arthur Morgan again, but I don't want him to die. So eventually I'll just go through, play as Arthur Morgan again, and make sure I never reach end game to play as
Yeah.
play as
There you
John
go.
Marston. Not that there's anything wrong with John Marston, but there's just something about Arthur Morgan's character where he's just kind of a wholesome fella.
Yeah. No, I get that.
His commentary and him not being that much of an intellectual man. I just love all the interactions he has with people.
Yeah. I always knew John Marston. that was my homeboy. We
Right.
played the other Red Deads.
Yeah, the original.
Yeah, and yeah, so I'm kind of okay. Well, you know what? I don't know. I can't really say for sure because I had gotten attached to um what's his face?
Arthur Morgan.
Arthur Morgan. That's the one.
Yeah, you've grown
I
real
can't I can't
attached. It
I
shows.
can't remember his name, but I remember his voice. And his voice is comforting.
It is. I
Uh,
got a real chuckle when you end up helping that one scientist who's just kind of creating contraptions, trying to get people sold off on his ideas. And one of them in particular was him creating like this little boat that you could drive around remote controlled onto the lake. And Arthur Morgan, God love him, just goes, "Oh, it's a toy boat." He's just like, "No, you buffoon, it's not a toy boat."
oh, bless him.
Bless him. He
All
means
right.
well.
Well, to end us off here, I got one more that'll be nice and quick. It's Halo Reach, and I'm sure that anybody that's familiar with Halo Reach will know exactly what I'm on about here.
I'm new to this. I wasn't a Halo person exactly, so yes, hate mail me, that's
Okay.
fine. But
But so Reach it's going back to before like the whole Master Chief, thing kicked off, right? Before Master Chief or before he was unleashed, on the Covenant. So Reach is your this fire team, right? And so you have you and a few other people on your team, and you go through the game, and you're fighting off all these Covenant intruders and what have you, and you start getting towards the end of the game, and like one by one, your teammates start like either getting picked off or sacrifice themselves to fight off this Covenant threat until you're left with no one by the end. Well, I know. I think his name. No, what's his name? The sniper guy. The sniper guy survives because he escorts
Sniper Guy, that's
high,
a lovely name.
yeah, sniper guy.
Yeah.
He survives. I can't remember his name. I'm sorry.
First Arthur
But
Morgan, now Sniper
yeah,
Guy.
sniper guy. No, he'll forever be sniper guy to me. But anyway, you get to the end, and you have to save this this ship. Like you're by yourself by this point. Your fire team's no longer with you because they're all dead or sniper guy's gone, and you have to save this ship by getting onto this really big laser gun thing, and you start shooting down all the Covenant threat, so that they can escape. Like a bunch of people and high priority people can escape on this spacecraft. And after you do that, and after they jump and they get away, and they thank you for your service or whatever, then you're just like, "Welp, I'm here now." It's like one of the like what I was talking about with Soma as well. It's the same thing, and like you're there, you're stuck now. You have no way of escaping, and the Covenant threat is surrounding you. And you're like, "Welp," and then it pops up like the next mission is survive. So you're put out into the open. The mission's called like Lone Wolf or something like that, and it just says just survive. So you go out there, and the Covenant guys start popping up out of nowhere, and you start taking them out and shooting them, and then more Covenant guys start coming out of the woodworks, and you're trying to kill off all these dudes trying to survive, but inevitably you can't survive because you're all by yourself and there's too much and you get overwhelmed and then
Oh
you
no.
die. And that's it. It's like the planet gets taken over by the Covenant threat. Like all those people, like all your teammates that have died and sacrificed themselves, thought that they were going to, destroy the Covenant threat for good. They were like they died thinking that they contributed to the end of the threat, but you being the last one alive, you're like this is it. Like there's not, they're taking over. Game over, and and then it shows this image of, your helmet on the ground, your broken helmet on the ground, broken visor or whatever, and slowly dust covers it, and then grass grows around it, and it's just sitting there aging, over the seasons. And it's just like such a sad moment, and it just absolutely killed me, by the end of it. When that came out, and I got to the end, I was like, it can't end like this. I knew, from playing Halo that, this kind of happened, right? That the Covenant had taken over some planets and wiped some of these planets, but you're still not mentally prepared for it somehow, because you get so invested in these characters in the backstory. But anyway, I digress. All right, well, I guess the question is we have all these wonderful stories and role-playing games, and we it seems that we torture ourselves. They break our hearts, not constantly, but a lot of the time.
These are the games that built us.
The games that built us. Thank you for joining us on the Merle and Locke podcast. If you enjoyed this banter, please consider becoming a patron by going to patreon.com/Merle and Locke, or simply follow the link in the description. Thank you.